It was a momentous day for humanity when their advanced exploration ship, the ISS Endeavour, made first contact with an alien civilization. The crew on board the Endeavour had spent years training and preparing for this historic moment, and as their ship approached the massive alien vessel, a palpable sense of anticipation hung in the air. Captain Jane Hernandez, a seasoned commander with decades of space exploration experience, stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the view screen. "Steady as she goes, everyone," she said, her voice calm and measured. "Let's make a good first impression." The alien ship was unlike anything the human crew had ever seen. It was a sleek, angular craft that seemed to shimmer and shift as it moved through the blackness of space. Sensors detected immense power sources and advanced propulsion systems, technology that dwarfed anything humanity had developed. As the Endeavour drew closer, a communication signal came through, translated into English by the ship's sophisticated language processors. "Unidentified vessel. This is the Scythian mothership. State your purpose and origin." Captain Hernandez took a deep breath before responding. "This is Captain Jane Hernandez of the Interstellar Space Shuttle Endeavour, representing the United Nations of Earth. We come in peace, with the hope of establishing friendly relations between our peoples." There was a pause, then the alien communication resumed. "You are the first intelligent life we have encountered from your planet. We are surprised by your development, but also cautious. Maintain your position while we analyze your ship and communicate with our leaders." The crew of the Endeavour exchanged nervous glances, but remained professional and alert. They knew that this first contact could go in any direction: cooperation, conflict, or even complete misunderstanding. The fate of humanity's future relationship with this alien civilization rested on how the next few hours unfolded. After what seemed like an eternity, the alien communication channel opened again. "Your vessel and your species are of great interest to us, humans of Earth. We have decided to allow you to approach and establish an initial dialogue. However, know that any hostile actions will be met with overwhelming force. Proceed with caution." Captain Hernandez felt a wave of relief wash over her. "Understood, Scythian mothership. We will approach your vessel with the utmost respect and care." She turned to her crew. "Helm, take us in slowly and maintain a safe distance. Science team, begin scans and prepare your initial reports. Communications, open a channel so I can attempt to make formal contact." As the Endeavour maneuvered closer to the alien craft, the tension on the bridge was palpable. Everyone knew that this moment would be remembered for generations to come. The first time humans had made direct contact with an extraterrestrial civilization. The communication channel crackled to life once more. "Humans of Earth, we are ready to receive your representative. Prepare to send a single unarmed envoy to our airlock. Any deviation from these instructions will be seen as an act of aggression." Captain Hernandez took a deep breath. "Understood. I will be that envoy. Wish me luck." With that, she turned and strode towards the airlock, her heart racing with a mixture of fear and excitement. The future of humanity now rested on her shoulders. Captain Jane Hernandez stepped cautiously through the airlock, her senses on high alert. As she entered the massive Scythian mothership, she was struck by the sheer scale and complexity of the alien vessel. The corridors were immense, the walls gleaming with an unfamiliar alloy, and the air hummed with the sounds of advanced technology. Two Scythian guards, towering figures with reptilian features, approached Hernandez. One of them spoke in a deep, rumbling voice. "Welcome, human envoy. You will follow us to the meeting chamber, where the Scythian Council awaits your presence." Hernandez nodded, trying to mask her nervousness. "Thank you. I am ready to meet with your leaders." As she was escorted through the ship, Hernandez couldn't help but marvel at the Scythians' technology. The walls seemed to shimmer with energy, and the floors moved effortlessly, as if the entire vessel was alive. She wondered what other secrets this alien civilization held. Finally, they arrived at a large, circular chamber. Hernandez found herself facing a group of Scythian elders, their eyes scrutinizing her every move. One of them, An individual with a more ornate uniform stepped forward. "Human, we have analyzed your vessel and its capabilities. We are impressed by your technological progress, but also concerned by your warlike nature. Your ship is armed, and your people have a history of conflict. Explain yourself." Hernandez swallowed hard, choosing her words carefully. "The Endeavor is an exploration and research vessel, not a warship. We come in peace, seeking to establish friendly relations with your people. Our history of conflict is a regrettable part of our past, but we are a civilization that values cooperation and understanding." The Scythian leader narrowed his eyes. "Your words are persuasive, but your actions tell a different story. We have detected numerous weapons systems on your vessel, and your people have a long history of violence. How can we trust that you do not harbor hostile intentions?" Hernandez felt a surge of frustration. "I assure you, our weapons are for defensive purposes only. We mean you no harm. Perhaps we have simply misunderstood each other's cultures and intentions." Suddenly, a loud alarm blared, and the chamber was flooded with red light. One of the Scythian guards rushed in, his voice laced with urgency. "Honored elders, the human vessel has opened fire on our supply ships. They are attacking us." The Scythian leader turned to Hernandez, his eyes burning with fury. "Treacherous humans, you have betrayed our trust, and now you will face the consequences." Before Hernandez could protest, the chamber was filled with the deafening roar of Scythian weapons. She ducked for cover as the air sizzled with energy beams, realizing that a catastrophic misunderstanding had just sparked a violent confrontation between the two civilizations. As the battle raged on, Hernandez knew that the fate of humanity's first contact with an alien race now hung in the balance. She had to find a way to stop the fighting and restore communication before it was too late. The news of the disastrous first contact between the humans and the Scythians spread like wildfire across Earth. In the wake of the sudden and violent confrontation, panic and fear gripped the global population. It was clear that humanity was woefully unprepared to face the technological might of this alien civilization. In the hallowed halls of the United Nations Aerospace Command, a team of the brightest scientific minds and military strategists scrambled to formulate a response. Time was of the essence, as reports indicated that Scythian mothership was already on the move, its destination unknown. General Alexander Ramos, the seasoned commander of the UN's Interstellar Defense Forces, stood at the head of the conference table, his expression grave. "Gentlemen, ladies, we are facing the greatest challenge in the history of our species. These Scythians possess weapons and technology that dwarf our own. If we don't act quickly, they could wipe us out with ease." One of the scientists, a young astrophysicist named Dr. Emma Takeda, stepped forward. "General, our analysis of the Scythian vessel's capabilities suggests they have far superior propulsion, shielding, and energy weapons. We'd be outmatched in a conventional battle." General Ramos nodded, his jaw set with determination. "Then we must find a way to even the playing field. Dr. Takeda, I want you and your team to focus all your efforts on reverse engineering Scythian technology. Anything we can adapt or replicate. I need it yesterday." Another scientist, an older man with a shock of white hair, cleared his throat. "General, that may take time we don't have. The Scythians are already en route, and we have no idea what their ultimate objectives are." "Then we must buy that time, Doctor," Ramos replied. "I want our entire military force on high alert. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier must be ready to defend our planet at a moment's notice. We can't afford to be caught off guard again." In the days that followed, a frenzy of activity gripped the human world. Factories ran around the clock, churning out new spacecraft, advanced weaponry, and cutting-edge protective gear. Millions of soldiers were drafted, their training regimes intensified to prepare them for the looming conflict. Dr. Takeda and her team worked tirelessly, poring over the data they had gathered from the Scythian mothership. They made breakthrough after breakthrough, each new discovery fueling a renewed sense of hope and determination. "We've managed to reverse engineer their propulsion systems," Takeda reported to General Ramos. "If we can implement this technology, our ships will be able to match the Scythians' speed and maneuverability." Ramos nodded, his eyes alight with excitement. "Excellent work, Doctor. What about their weapons?" Takeda's expression darkened. "That's where we're running into difficulties. Their energy-based armaments are unlike anything we've ever encountered. We're still trying to figure out how to effectively counter them." The general's brow furrowed. "Then we'll have to get creative. I want all hands on deck to find a solution, no matter how unconventional. The fate of our species depends on it." Across the globe, the human population watched with a mix of dread and determination as their planet prepared for the ultimate battle. They knew that the outcome would shape the course of their future, and they were determined to stand their ground against the formidable Scythian threat. The tension in the air was palpable as the human forces took up their positions, waiting for the Scythian mothership to make its move. They had spent weeks preparing, upgrading their ships and weapons, but deep down they knew that they were still outmatched by the alien civilization's superior technology. General Alexander Ramos stood on the bridge of the flagship, his gaze fixed on the viewscreen. "All units, stay alert. The Scythians could strike at any moment." Suddenly, a series of energy readings flashed on the display. "Sir, we've detected multiple Scythian vessels emerging from hyperspace." Ramos gritted his teeth. "Battle stations, everyone. This is it." The Scythian ships, sleek and menacing, descended upon the human fleet in a coordinated assault. Powerful energy beams lanced out, tearing through the hulls of the Earth's best and brightest spacecraft. Explosions rocked the battlefield as the humans fought back, but their weapons seemed almost futile against the aliens' advanced shielding. "Their shields are impenetrable," cried one of the bridge officers. "We can't get a direct hit." Ramos slammed his fist on the console. "Keep firing. We have to hold them off as long as we can." The human vessels darted and weaved, unleashing a barrage of missiles and plasma cannons, but the Scythians effortlessly evaded the attacks. Their ships moved with a grace and speed that left the human pilots in awe and dismay. One by one, the human ships were overwhelmed, their defenses crumbling under the relentless alien onslaught. Ramos watched helplessly as the Endeavor, the very ship that had made first contact, was reduced to a drifting, burning hulk. "All units, begin emergency retreat," he ordered, his voice tinged with desperation. "We can't hold them off any longer." The human fleet scattered, desperately trying to outrun the pursuing Scythian ships. But the aliens had the advantage of superior speed and maneuverability. They picked off the slower, more damaged vessels with ease, raining down devastating energy blasts that left the humans no chance of survival. Ramos gritted his teeth, his knuckles white as he gripped the edge of the console. "No, we can't give up. Keep fighting. Keep moving." But the battle was already lost. The Scythians had caught the humans off guard, and their ruthless efficiency had decimated the human forces. Ramos watched in horror as one by one, his comrades' ships were destroyed, their distress signals cutting off abruptly. Finally, with no other choice, the general gave the order to retreat. "All remaining ships, jump to hyperspace. Get back to Earth and report what's happened. We have to regroup and find a way to stop these aliens." The surviving human vessels activated their newly reverse-engineered drives and vanished into the void, leaving the Scythian mothership and its escort ships in control of the battlefield. Ramos slumped in his chair, his heart heavy with the weight of the devastating defeat. "We weren't ready," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the alarms blaring on the bridge. "We thought we could hold them off, but they were just too strong." As the human fleet limped back to Earth, the grim reality of their situation set in. The Scythians had delivered a crushing blow, and the future of humanity's survival now hung in the balance. The devastating defeat at the hands of the Scythians sent shockwaves through the human world. The once confident and optimistic population now faced a grim reality. Their technology and military might were simply no match for the alien civilization's overwhelming power. General Alexander Ramos sat in his office, his head in his hands. The reports from the retreating fleet were worse than he had imagined. Hundreds of brave soldiers and pilots had given their lives, and the Scythians had effortlessly swept aside the best the human forces had to offer. "We're not going to win this with conventional weapons," he muttered to himself. "We need something drastic, something they won't expect." Ramos summoned his top scientists and strategists to an emergency meeting. Dr. Emma Takeda, the brilliant astrophysicist, was the first to speak up. "General, we've been analyzing the Scythian technology in depth, and we think we may have a way to even the playing field. But it's risky, and it would require a complete shift in our approach." Ramos leaned forward, his eyes narrowed. "I'm listening, Doctor. At this point, I'm willing to try anything." Takeda took a deep breath. "Our research has shown that the Scythians' energy-based weapons and shields rely on a complex network of power distribution and targeting systems. If we could find a way to disrupt that network, it could render their technology useless." One of the military strategists, a grizzled veteran named Colonel Emilio Gutierrez, spoke up. "That sounds promising, but how do we go about disrupting their systems? They've already shown that they can easily outmaneuver and outgun our forces." Takeda nodded. "That's where the risky part comes in. We believe that if we could get a small team of highly trained operatives aboard the Scythian mothership, they could infiltrate the power systems and sabotage the network from the inside." Ramos leaned back in his chair, his brow furrowed in thought. "Infiltrate the Scythian mothership. That's suicide. They'll detect any unauthorized approach and obliterate us." "Not if we use their own technology against them," Takeda said, a hint of excitement in her voice. "We've been working on a way to mask our ship's signatures and mimic Scythian transponder codes. If we can pull that off, we might be able to sneak a team aboard the mothership undetected." Gutierrez shook her head. "Even if we can get them on board, how do we ensure they can accomplish their mission? The Scythians will be on high alert after our last confrontation." Takeda smiled. "That's where our latest breakthrough comes in. We've developed a specialized EMP device that can temporarily disrupt the Scythians' power systems. If the team can plant these charges in the right locations, it could give them a window of opportunity to sabotage the network and cripple the mothership's defenses." Ramos studied the plans and schematics laid out before him, his mind racing. "This is incredibly risky, and the odds of success are slim. But at this point, we don't have any other choice. Prepare the mission, Doctor. I'll handpick the best of the best to carry it out." In the days that followed, a sense of cautious hope began to spread through the human ranks. The plan, while audacious and dangerous, represented their best and perhaps only chance to turn the tide of the conflict. The selected operatives trained tirelessly, their skills honed to a razor's edge. As the Scythian mothership loomed ever closer to Earth, the human forces made their final preparations. Ramos stood on the bridge of the command ship, his gaze fixed on the distant alien vessel. "Godspeed, my friends," he whispered. "The fate of our species rests on your shoulders." With a deep breath, he gave the order to launch the daring infiltration mission. The future of humanity now hung in the balance. The small team of elite human operatives held their breath as their disguised ship deftly maneuvered through the bustling traffic of the Scythian mothership's docking bays. They had trained for this moment, their nerves steeled and their minds focused on the critical mission at hand. As their craft settled into an empty berth, the team quickly checked their weapons and equipment one last time. The specialized EMP devices they carried represented humanity's best chance at disrupting the Scythians' technological superiority. "All right, listen up," the team leader, a seasoned veteran named Captain Naomi Takahashi, said in a hushed tone. "We've got one shot at this. Once we're inside, we move fast and hit our targets hard. Maintain radio silence unless absolutely necessary. Remember, the fate of our entire species rests on us." The rest of the team nodded grimly, their resolve hardening as they prepared to step out into the alien vessel's corridors. With a deep breath, Takahashi opened the airlock and led the way, her team close behind. The Scythian mothership was a bewildering maze of towering hallways and bustling activity. The human operatives moved with a mixture of caution and purpose, their training kicking in as they navigated the alien environment. Occasionally, they would freeze in place, holding their breath as a group of Scythian guards passed by, their reptilian features and glowing eyes scanning the area with unnerving intensity. Finally, they'd reached the entrance to the mothership's central power distribution hub, a massive, pulsing chamber at the heart of the vessel. Takahashi signaled her team to fan out, taking up strategic positions around the perimeter. "On my mark, we move in and plant the charges," she whispered. "Remember, we only have a few minutes before the Scythians realize what's happening. Be quick and be precise." The team tensed, their fingers poised on the triggers of their weapons. Takahashi counted down silently, then gave the signal. In a blur of motion, the operatives darted into the chamber, planting the specialized EMP devices at key locations around the power network. Alarms began to blare as the Scythian security systems detected the intrusion, but the human team had already completed their task. Takahashi raised her hand, and in a coordinated motion, the team activated the charges. A powerful electromagnetic pulse swept through the chamber, causing the Scythian power systems to flicker and sputter. The alien guards, caught off guard, stumbled and fell, their weapons temporarily disabled. "Move, move, move," Takahashi shouted, and the team made a hasty retreat, racing back the way they had come. As they reached the docking bay, the team could see the effects of their sabotage rippling through the Scythian mothership. Lights flickered, systems malfunctioned, and the normally coordinated alien forces seemed to be in disarray. "Get us out of here now," Takahashi yelled to the pilot, who wasted no time in powering up the engines and guiding the craft out of the docking bay. Back on the human flagship, General Ramos and his command staff watched the unfolding events with a mix of hope and trepidation. The EMP pulse is disrupting the Scythian systems, but for how long? Ramos wondered aloud. Suddenly, a series of readings flashed on the view screen. "Sir, our scanners are detecting a massive drop in the Scythian mothership's power output and shield strength," one of the officers reported. "Their defensive capabilities are degrading rapidly." Ramos felt a surge of excitement. "Then this is our chance. All units, prepare for a counterattack. We're going to take the fight to the Scythians." As the human fleet surged forward, the Scythian mothership struggled to regain control of its systems. The once formidable alien vessel now seemed vulnerable, its technological superiority temporarily neutralized by the daring human infiltration. The fate of the battle now hung in the balance, as the humans seized their opportunity to turn the tide of the conflict. As the Scythian mothership systems struggled to recover from the devastating EMP pulse, the human fleet surged forward, seizing the initiative. General Ramos watched the battle unfold on the view screen, his eyes narrowed with determination. "All units, concentrate your fire on the mothership's vulnerable areas. Don't let them regroup." The human ships, their newly upgraded engines and weapon systems giving them a newfound edge, unleashed a relentless barrage of missiles and energy blasts. The Scythian fighters, still reeling from the disruption to their power grid, were unable to mount an effective defense. One by one, the alien vessels were overwhelmed, their shields collapsing under the sustained human assault. Ramos gritted his teeth as he watched the Scythian mothership take a direct hit, its hull scorched and smoking. "Keep the pressure on. Don't let them catch their breath." The human pilots, emboldened by their sudden advantage, pushed harder, their skills honed by weeks of intense training. They maneuvered their ships with precision, exploiting every weakness in the Scythian formations. Suddenly, a massive explosion ripped through the Scythian mothership, sending shockwaves through the battlefield. Ramos stared in awe as the alien vessel began to list, its once formidable systems faltering. "They're losing power," Continue the attack. Don't let up. The human fleet redoubled its efforts, unleashing a devastating barrage that tore through the Scythian mothership's defenses. Explosions rocked the massive craft, its once sleek and imposing form now a crumbling, chaotic mess. Ramos watched as the Scythian fighters, their coordination and firepower compromised, began to retreat. He raised his fist in triumph, a grin spreading across his face. "We've done it. The Scythians are in full retreat." A cheer went up across the human fleet, the crew members embracing and celebrating their hard-won victory. Ramos allowed himself a moment of relief, but he knew that the battle was far from over. As the Scythian mothership limped away, the human ships pursued, determined to deliver the final blow. Ramos knew that this was their chance to cripple the alien forces and turn the tide of the war. "All units, stay on target. We can't let them escape." The human ships pressed their attack, their weapons raking the Scythian mothership's damaged hull. Explosions continued to rip through the alien vessel, and eventually its engines flickered and died. Ramos watched as the massive craft drifted helplessly, its power systems failing. He raised his hand, signaling the fleet to hold their fire. "Cease fire. Hold your positions. We've got them." The Scythian mothership, once a symbol of the aliens' technological superiority, now hung in space, a crippled and defeated relic. Ramos felt a surge of pride and relief wash over him. "This is General Ramos to all units. The Scythian mothership has been disabled. We've won the battle." Cheers erupted across the human fleet, the crew members celebrating their hard-fought victory. Ramos allowed himself a moment to savor the triumph, but he knew that the war was far from over. As the human ships moved in to secure the disabled Scythian vessel, Ramos turned to his command staff, his expression serious. "This is just the beginning. We've shown the Scythians that we're not to be trifled with, but we can't afford to let our guard down. We need to regroup, assess our losses, and prepare for the next phase of this conflict." The members of his staff nodded in agreement, their faces reflecting the gravity of the situation. They knew that the fate of humanity now hung in the balance, and that the battle had only just begun. The aftermath of the battle against the Scythians was a bittersweet moment for humanity. While the decisive victory had saved Earth from imminent destruction, the cost had been high. Thousands of brave soldiers and pilots had given their lives, and the damage to the human fleet was extensive. General Ramos stood on the bridge of the command ship, his gaze fixed on the crippled Scythian mothership. The once imposing alien vessel now drifted helplessly in the void, a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of the human race. "We've done it," Ramos said, his voice tinged with a mixture of pride and sorrow. "But at what price?" Dr. Emma Takeda, the brilliant scientist whose team had played a crucial role in the victory, approached the general. "Sir, the Scythian ship is hailing us. They're requesting a ceasefire and the opportunity to communicate." Ramos raised an eyebrow, his expression thoughtful. "After all we've been through, they want to talk." Takeda nodded. "I believe so. They seem to be at a loss, and they may be willing to negotiate." Ramos considered the request for a moment, then nodded. "Very well. Open a channel, and let's see what they have to say." The image of the Scythian leader, a stern-faced individual with reptilian features, appeared on the view screen. "Humans of Earth, we are prepared to accept your terms of surrender. Our mothership has been disabled, and we have sustained heavy losses. We are in no position to continue the conflict." Ramos felt a pang of surprise at the alien's words. "Surrender? That was never our intention. We came to defend our home and our people, not to conquer your civilization." The Scythian leader blinked, seemingly taken aback by the response. "Then what is it you seek, human? We have been at war, and we have been the aggressors. Surely you must demand retribution." Ramos shook his head. "We've had enough bloodshed, Scythian. What we seek now is peace and understanding. We may have been enemies, but we are also beings who share this vast universe. Perhaps it is time we learned from each other rather than fight." The Scythian leader paused, his expression thoughtful. "This is unexpected. You have shown us remarkable resilience and ingenuity, qualities we had not anticipated. Perhaps there is indeed potential for cooperation between our peoples." Takeda stepped forward, her eyes shining with hope. "That is precisely what we hope to achieve, Scythian. We have much to learn from each other, and if we can put aside our differences, we may find that we have more in common than we realized." The Scythian leader nodded slowly. "Then we shall begin the process of negotiating a lasting peace. It will not be easy, given the history between our civilizations, but we are willing to make the effort." In the weeks that followed, a delicate diplomatic dance unfolded between the human and Scythian representatives. Both sides approached the negotiations with a mixture of caution and cautious optimism, aware that the path to a lasting peace would be fraught with challenges. As the talks progressed, however, a newfound sense of understanding began to emerge. The Scythians, once seen as a formidable and uncompromising foe, revealed a deep respect for the human spirit and a willingness to learn from their adversaries. For their part, the humans were humbled by the Scythians' advanced technology and cultural wisdom, recognizing that they had much to gain from an alliance with this alien civilization. Finally, after months of arduous negotiations, a historic agreement was reached. The Scythians and the humans would establish a framework for peaceful coexistence, with the promise of collaborating on scientific, cultural, and technological exchanges. As the news of the peace treaty spread across the human world, the people celebrated with a mixture of relief and excitement. The future, once shrouded in uncertainty, now held the promise of a new era of cooperation and understanding between the two civilizations. Ramos stood on the balcony of the United Nations headquarters, gazing up at the stars. He knew that the journey ahead would be a long and challenging one, but he was filled with a renewed sense of hope. "The future is ours to shape," he whispered, a smile crossing his lips. "And with the Scythians at our side, anything is possible."